Since receiving the initial report of Victoria going missing, we've made every effort to find her. Previous releases of information made by North Yorkshire Police highlight the scale of inquiries undertaken to date. And I would like to reiterate that based on the current information, no indication of any form of third-party involvement has been established, and we're still treating this as a missing person inquiry.
It's been almost 2 long, agonising weeks for the traumatised family of missing Victoria Taylor, a 34-year-old mum who vanished from her home in North Yorkshire. Her belongings were found near the River Derwent, and CCTV footage shows her making what could be her final movements before she disappeared. But what happened that day? Why did Victoria go missing? Join me, Peter Bleksley, as I dig into the details, reveal the latest updates and uncover the facts behind this deeply unsettling case. On Monday the 30th of September, Victoria left her home in Malton, North Yorkshire. She was then seen a couple of hours later on CCTV at a garage which had a Marks and Spencer's shop as part of it. Victoria was seen to buy drinks, and at the time she was dressed in a dark-coloured puffer jacket of Adidas brand with noticeable stripes down the side. She was also wearing jeans and had a camouflage cap on. Sometime later, the items that she bought from this M&S shop were found in a play park not far from the River Derwent. However, she'd been spotted on CCTV just about 25 minutes after the garage footing at Malton bus station. But she did not get on a bus. A friend set up a Facebook group, and very soon this had thousands of people following it. Her sisters, Heidi and Emma, were of course deeply concerned about Victoria, and they added their support and tried to rally people to come and help with the search. During this time, the police were very keen to point out that they didn't want people, volunteers, getting themselves into danger. There's been a huge amount of rain recently, and the banks to the River Derwent are wet and very slippery. Whilst help from volunteers was initially welcomed, what the police definitely do not want is these volunteers getting themselves into danger and making a difficult situation even worse.
This search is slow and complex, and the team are working methodically in very difficult conditions.
With any search for a missing person, the police have to set parameters, and these are often dictated by the amount of resources that they've got at their disposal. By the Wednesday, the search was focusing on the River Derwent because nearby some of Victoria's belongings had been found, and the police were pretty quick to say that they were working on the theory that they felt Victoria had gone into the river. Any search for a missing person is dictated by the resources that are available to the police because, quite simply, they don't have endless numbers that they can apply to any kind of search. And in any event, most people that go missing in the UK tend to return home after 24 or 48 hours. Victoria, of course, hadn't, and the police were ramping up their search efforts. On the Thursday, police revealed CCTV images from Victoria's visit to the garage on the Monday. On the Friday, Victoria's partner, Matthew Williams, issues a plea for the dedicated mum to come home. Victoria's sisters, Emily and Heidi, also make a plea, expressing their deep concerns for the welfare of their much-loved sister. On Monday, the 7th of October, the search for Victoria was now entering its second week. The police showed some CCTV images that were captured at Malton bus station over a week beforehand. The mystery was Victoria had gone to that station but not got on a bus. The police were also asking people if they'd been in the area a week earlier and if they had dash cams fitted to their vehicles Could they check them to see if they had any images of Victoria? The CCTV images of Victoria at the bus station are the last that have been released to the public, and the previous ones were captured 37 minutes earlier at the petrol station. So the question is, what did Victoria do in those 37 minutes? Did she meet someone? Did she have a conversation with anyone? At the moment, we simply don't know. That time gap currently remains a mystery. It is, of course, highly possible that the police know a lot more than they're telling us. This is only right and understandable in any kind of inquiry, whether that be a missing person or the investigation of a serious crime.
Over the coming days, we will continue our search to find Victoria and ensure that we are doing all that we can to support the family. Understandably, the disappearance of Victoria has shocked the local community, and the family take comfort in the overwhelming amount of support from people both locally and further afield.
Victoria's disappearance is being described as completely out of character. She has a 2-year-old daughter that she adores and is in a steady relationship with Matthew Williams. There appears to be no obvious reason why she would suddenly disappear. Although, of course, it is very difficult, in fact often impossible, to try and figure out the workings of somebody who has a troubled mind, if indeed there were things that were bothering Victoria. The police's working theory, which they've told us all about, is that Victoria went into the River Derwent. They've also said they have no evidence to suggest there is any third-party involvement.
As with any investigation, we are very open-minded and will continue to explore all lines of inquiry. Based on the discovery of Victoria's belongings so close to the water's edge, we must accept the significant possibility that Victoria has entered the River Derwent.
She also told us that the police have been consulting with experts in a very similar way to how Lancashire police called upon these experts in their field when they were searching for Nicola Bulley. Until such time that there is conclusive evidence proving that Victoria is not alive, then the police have to consider the possibility that she is somewhere perhaps of her own accord, but they stick to the main working hypothesis that she went in the water. Could she have scrambled out alive? I simply don't know. But of course, the river is perishingly cold, it's dark, and it's very difficult to search. So even though the police are using sonar equipment, it doesn't mean that they get a clear view of all of the riverbed. And let's rewind to the tragic case of Nicola Bulley, when not only the police were searching the river, but other people that called themselves experts in the field. That search went on for some weeks before finally a member of the public sadly found Nicola's body. Some people, of course, are speculating as to why Victoria left some of her possessions by the riverbank. Well, quite frankly, we don't know. But that speculation gets very unhelpful when conspiracy theorists start coming up with wild theories that have absolutely no substance to them and can be deeply upsetting for the family. There's been psychics and mediums also chipping in with what their thoughts are. But the family have been very clear. They only want facts, and they only want the police to be actively involved in the investigation. Armchair sleuths, whose detective experience probably extends to watching 2 episodes of Vera, are also coming up with wild, baseless, unhelpful theories. One of the wilder theories being bounced around unhelpfully is that the CCTV images that the police have released, some are not actually Victoria. This is absolutely ludicrous. No senior investigating officer would risk their reputation by posting images of a person, naming them without checking and double-checking, particularly with the family. Some of these TikTok sleuths have very unpleasantly turned their attention to Victoria's fiancé, Matthew. He, of course, had made a statement, and in that statement, he referred to Victoria in the past tense. Well, it's all very well when you've got nothing better to do than to pore over the statement that somebody who is suffering enormous trauma, sense of loss and huge upset has said, and then pick it apart, word by word. I've been asked this week, what do you think are the most crucial pieces of evidence that we know about Victoria's disappearance? Well, I think that items were found close to the river is very, and possibly tragically, significant. We must always remember that no matter what the investigation is, the police know a huge amount more than we do. And for a police service to say, this is their working hypothesis, this is what we believe has happened, then they must base that on other evidence that we haven't seen or heard. So in this case, I'm going to trust the police for the time being. We need to remember that unfortunately, rivers are sometimes very slow to give up their secrets. I suspect that some of the conspiracy theorists have been fueled by a case that happened very close to this location earlier on in the year. In April this year, the dead body of a 49-year-old woman was pulled from the River Derwent, and a man was subsequently charged with her murder. He is currently awaiting trial. But the police have been clear. They have been emphatic when they say there is no evidence whatsoever of third-party involvement in Victoria's disappearance. Consequently, this is treated as a missing person case and most definitely not a crime. I can understand it when members of the public say we're going to continue searching until Victoria is found. I understand the depth of the emotions that they must be feeling. The police, of course, will be continually assessing the amount of resources that they're applying to this investigation, a very, very important case, of course, but there will be other matters that resources will have to be deployed to. That's how policing works, and you cannot just open a brand new box of police officers from nowhere and deploy them. So at some point, the investigation will have to be wound down. We saw this in the case of Nicola Bulley, and sometimes that attracts criticism. But the police cannot pursue every case forever, as much as family, friends, and the wider public might want them to. My thoughts remain very much with Victoria's sisters, Heidi and Emma, and of course, her fiancé, Matthew. Whilst I would very much like there to be a happy ending to this story, sadly, I fear that the longer it goes on, the less likely that is to happen.